everybody, Erin here. Today I come to you guys with my August wrap-up. So I didn't end up finishing my TBR for this month, unfortunately, but what else is new? But I did end up finishing 6 books and getting about 100 pages into another one. So yeah, let's talk about the books I did read. So the very last book I finished actually was Felix Ever After by Case and Calendar. This is a contemporary book which focuses around Felix. He is black, queer and transgender, and he actually goes to this sort of art summer school, and one day in the gallery his old photos from him before he transitioned into being a guy are hanged up in this gallery, and he's dead named and everything like that, and he's trying to figure out who did this to him and why. So we kind of get to go along on that journey, and also him trying to figure out his own identity and who he is and who he wants to be and everything like that. And yeah, it was a really quick, really enjoyable read. Definitely some hard-hitting subjects in here, and yeah, I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then I also read A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This was actually the book that won in the Instagram poll. It's about a girl called Galadriel from, you know, Lord of the Rings, yes. And she goes to this skullman's school, basically a boarding school where you learn to harvest mana and like sort of your magical abilities basically. And they go to school and they're trying to survive, not being killed by these monsters. And once you graduate, you will actually get, you know, pushed out into the room full with monsters, and you have to fight your way out to be able to graduate and, you know, survive basically. It was really interesting reading about the mana and like how the school system works, because it's a little bit different, and all the monsters and everything like that. And we get to follow Galadriel, who's not like one of the popular kids or anything, and she's just trying to survive and be able to join one of these sort of leagues, or what do you want to call them, to join some other kids that have teamed up, and which is basically the only way to survive, having, you know, not going into graduation on your own. And she becomes friends with this guy named Orion Lake and also some other girls, and yeah, it's really fun, quick read, really interesting, different from everything else I read, and yeah, it was really entertaining actually. And I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then for one of my reading vlogs, I read Monster i Terapi by Jenny Jägerfeld and Mats Strandberg. This is from my TBR pile of shame, and yeah, I had started this and now I finally finished it. So basically we meet this psychologist, and she interviews characters from different literature, old literature classics if you will, and it's Dr. Jekyll, Carmilla, Frankenstein's monster and Dorian Gray. And you know, you get to read her notes from the sessions and everything like that, figuring out why they act like they do and everything like that. And it was a really quick read since it's written in therapy sessions, basically interview format. And yeah, I did really enjoy it. It was a quick read. Definitely spoils the stories if you have not read them previously. But yeah, it was really interesting and fun read actually. I ended up giving this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. I had another book from that same reading vlog, and that is Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This is about Clay Cooper and his old band, and basically they were the most feared and renowned crew of mercenaries this side of the Heart World, and they actually have to, this is sort of a after the glory days kind of book. So the wars are and anything like that, and they just have to band up again to be able to save Gabe's daughter, who is, you know, being captured, and they trying to save her and a bunch of other people, and they have to gain up to do that. And it's really fun. It's so much banter, and I just love the guys in this book, and it's so kick-ass and such a quick read honestly. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I want to read book 2 so soon. And I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then we have another one of my TBR pile of shame, and that's Sassy by Madeline Miller. I started reading this one such a long time ago, and I was almost halfway through it, and I just never continued on reading it, or rather I've continued on reading it so many times, but I just never ended up finishing. But now I have. So this is by the same author that wrote the Song of Achilles, which I really enjoyed. But in this one we meet the witch Circe. She is the one that has been sort of sent to this island which she cannot leave, and she has to live there for, you know, the rest of her life. And there are different heroes and nymphs and everything like that that come across this island or are being sent to this island, and you know, it's about her meeting them and what happens and shit like that. And you know, magic and heroes and mythology, I'm all for that jazz, and I really enjoyed it, and I don't know why I didn't read it sooner, because it's a really quick and entertaining read. I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars as well, so it was a really good reading month. Then we have like the hero of this wrap up, honestly. It wasn't on my TBR, but I don't really care, because I read Malice by John Gwynne. It's a hunker. It's actually over 600 pages, and I just fell in love with this book so quickly. I actually ended up reading 331 pages in the same day, which is almost half the book, and I loved it so much. So we get to meet a bunch of different characters. There's a lot of point of views in this book, and the interesting thing is that you get to meet like the good guys and the bad guy as well, which is really interesting. And they don't all know each other from before. Some of them do, some of them don't, and we get to follow them. Like, one is a warrior, one is the newest member of a war band, and one is just a boy, and one is a prince. And you know, you get to find out about their, you know, decisions and everything like that. And it's such a good book. I mean, first of all, you fly through it. I flew through this one so quickly, since, I mean, I read half the book in one day, but it was just so heartfelt, and everybody dies in this book, so you just don't get attached to anyone, not even the minor characters. And there's also need to be a warning for like dogs in this book, because honestly, there's so many dogs dying in this book, and they kind of go in very gruesome, horrible ways, and I'm not for that jazz at all. It was horrible to read about, but I mean, yes, I mean, it's a war going on, and also weird ass creatures, sort of magical creatures. And I know John Gwynne has like 7 more books in like 3 different series out, so I'm just gonna plow on through those, because I do own book 2 in this series, and I have done so for quite some time now, and I just want to read it so badly. So yeah, this was obviously a 5 out of 5 stars if you didn't get that. The book that was also on my TBR but I did not end up finishing, because I only read about 106 pages of it, was The Slightly Alarming Tale of the Whispering Boars by Jacqueline Moriarty. This is the prequel to The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Mittelstone. This takes place before that. I think it's 15 years before that book, if I remember correctly. And in this book we have some kids from an orphanage and some kids from this sort of bratty rich boarding school, and they end up in this sort of competition where there's races and everything like that, and you know, one of the others is going to end up winning, and because of this competition they end up being sort of, you know, bad blood between them, and they're kind of enemies, and they start doing this kind of pranks on each other and everything like that. But all of that has to come to a halting stop when the Whispering Wars start, and they actually have to work together to save the day. And I am loving this so far. I have read quite a bit from it since those 106 pages, but really enjoying this one so far. But yeah, those were all of the books I read in the month of August. Hopefully the reading in September will go just as good, or, you know, preferably even better. But yeah, I did enjoy all of these books actually, which means it was quite a good reading month just from that aspect alone. But yeah, if you've read any of these books, please let me know down below what you thought about them, without spoiling of course. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give me some thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the button down below. And yeah, I hope to see each other in the next one. Bye!